Darren, can you take Charlie?
And there's probably going to be a delay between what we say and what people hear. So
okay.
That's okay. That's supposed to happen. And I believe that we are almost live.
I see a little live thing.
Okay, then we're live. And now I have to find my script now because I lost it. Okay, I found it. Okay, we are good. Yes, we are. Okay. Hello, welcome to Escondido Public Library's virtual author chat series. The series is sponsored by the Friends of the Escondido Public Library and in partnership with the Ripped Bodice Bookstore. I'm your host, Jessica Buck, Adult Services Librarian, and today I am joined by author Jacquelyn Middleton. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited. I can't tell you.
I'm excited to be here. I get to talk to somebody outside of my apartment.
Right? We get interaction, even if it's over the Zoom.
Yeah. I got to wear lipstick, so.
Right?
I'm excited.
We got to make ourselves look pretty, put our masks away for a little bit. I'm just going to introduce you really quick so that people that are new to you kind of get an idea of who you are and what you do. So bear with me as I read this.
Sure.
Jacquelyn is a multi-award-winning author of love stories for hopeful romantics. Hopeful because her novels are always optimistic and she believes happily ever afters are more important now than ever before. In 2019, she was named Best Canadian Author at the RWA's Toronto Romance Writers Northern Hearts Awards for Until the Last Star Fades. She is also the author of London Belongs to Me, London Can You Wait, and her newest release, Say Hello, Kiss Goodbye. Yay! A little freeze frame. An Own Voices author, Jacquelyn has dealt with anxiety, panic attacks, and depression all of her life, and is dedicated to depicting mental health challenges realistically and empathetically in her novels. Jacquelyn's books have been featured by The Hollywood Reporter, NBC News, the Los Angeles Times, the New York Daily News, USA Today, Cosmopolitan, Redbook, Hypable, and the Huffington Post. A lifelong Maple Leafs fan and Anglophile, Jacquelyn previously worked in television broadcasting and as an award-winning freelance writer. She loves Comic-Cons, London, and theater, and lives in Toronto with her British husband and Japanese Spitz. Woo!
Me.
That is you. And is that behind you, your dog on the wall?
This is actually Zoe. It's not the dog that we have right now. She was a Schipperke and she passed away last year very unexpectedly. It was she went in for a knee operation and did not wake up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But at least you have her in memory.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
We have lots of memories of her all around our apartment, and we had this done when she was a baby. It's kind of supposed to be like a Warhol type thing. We have a really funny photo when we first got it, and it's propped up against the wall, and she was laying in front of it smiling like she knew it was her. And yeah, so we've got her here in our living room, sort of dining room area. Aww. She's behind me all the time.
Right, she's with us now.
Yes.
During our little chat.
Yeah.
So we chatted a little bit before we went live, but how are you doing? You're in Canada, I'm in California. Very different, but at the same time, we're all kind of going through the same weird 2020 experiences. So how are you?
I'm okay. It's been very strange. I think I miss hugging people the most. I work from home anyway, and so does my husband. So the aspect of being stuck here isn't strange for us, but yeah, it's been weird not being able to see friends or go to concerts or hockey, but I'm hanging in there, like everyone. We're all sort of in the same situation.
Yeah, trying to figure it out as we go.
Yeah, I'm eating way too much. So I can say that I'm eating way too much. I'm eating constantly. Actually, today was the first day I was like, stop eating chocolate. Well, you're right, have an apple. So I had an apple with my dog. I think I gave him like half of it. It is. So, yeah, I'm trying, but it's been hard.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you are talking with me now. This is so exciting.
It is exciting.
And before we get into the questions, I just want the viewers to know that if you have any questions for Jacquelyn, please put those in the Facebook comments, and I will try to plop those in with the questions that I already have prepared, along with some questions from Twitter, which I'm really excited about. So if you're watching and you put the question on Twitter, thank you, because I was running out. It's very helpful.
Give me questions.
Yes. So the first question is just what inspired you to start writing romance, and what kind of attracted you to the genre, first as a reader and then as a writer?
It's a really good question. I think for romance, I've always loved happy stories. I like happy ever afters. I like things working out. Because, life isn't always like that. And there's a lot of, ups and downs. And for me, as a reader, I like to escape into happy places. I don't really like to watch anything that's really violent, or like murder mysteries and things aren't really my thing. I like happy stories. I want to escape. I want to be entertained. I want to feel good when it's over and not scared or anything. So as a reader or as a viewer of things like that, I always want the happy. So when it came to writing, I've always wanted to be an author. I've always liked to write. It was sort of a natural thing to be pulled in that direction, because it would be my opportunity to make happy stories for other people. So I'm kind of writing what I want to read. And it's just a positive. I like the positive aspect. I like, people coming together and, just joyful stories. They kind of feed me better than, I don't like all the negative stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so true. And that's why I love reading it. That's why I love reading romance.
Yeah, because you just feel good. Like I kind of don't understand entertainment that scares you or makes you feel terrible or depressed. I mean, maybe it's also because I have anxiety and I have depression occasionally. So I don't really want to be stuck in those kind of genres.
Mm-hmm.
I want happy and feel good and swoony guys and beautiful women and women, with, trying to find themselves in the world. And, I like that kind of arc, like a happy story arc.
Yes, I am a very anxious person. So if it looks iffy, I will find out the ending so that I am secure and don't have to worry about it. And it's the same thing with TV shows. I don't mind spoilers because it just makes me so comfortable to know that, okay, that person's not going to die. So I don't have to worry. It's all going to work out. They're going to get together. It's going to be fine. I don't have to worry when I read this because it's going to be happy.
It's
I can
gonna
just
work
enjoy
out.
it.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's some people that say, romance, it's, what's going to happen. And, you don't get the roller coaster ride. And you do, because even though, there's going to be a happy ever after or happy for right now, you don't know how they're going to get it. And you don't know what challenges are going to be thrown their way, or, how they might self-sabotage the whole situation. And there's so many different ways to present that. And I think that's what people who are critical of romance don't understand. There are so many ways, and love is such a complex emotion. It's probably the most complex one that we have. And there's so many different nuances, and that journey is different every time. And the characters are different. And, to know that there's a happy ending, it's not giving it away. It's the same thing they say about murder mysteries, they're going to catch the killer, right? So
yes,
what's
exactly.
The difference? And is it just because it's written by women that it gets slammed? I don't know. I mean, more women. There's male writers, of course, but you know what I mean? It seems to be a primarily female genre. So I don't know, but people are silly. They're missing out. Romance is awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the Twitter questions was, what has been the most unexpected inspiration for a story?
This is a great question. I would probably say it involves my most recent book, the Say Hello, Kiss Goodbye story. I mentioned it a little bit in the back of the book. Yes. But I really love yours because you've got the library barcode, and that makes me so
Yes.
happy.
And I just want to show people that
That's
author
my name.
name.
I love it. I'll ask you to show that to me again later. This story, the beginning, there is a meet cute that happens in a blackout in an IKEA in London. And I have a friend, actually, she is my acupuncturist, Michael. One time I went for a session and she was telling me, oh, that my morning was terrible. I was at IKEA getting toys for the kids and the lights went out. So she was explaining the whole situation of what happened when the lights went out. And I'm laying there getting needles stuck in me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this would be an awesome place to have a couple meet. So my first thing I said to her, because she read London, Can You Wait, my second book. So I was like, Michael, could I borrow that for my meet cute from I think I was writing Until the Last Star Fades at the time, but I'm always thinking ahead. And I said, could I borrow that like down the road for something? And she was like, oh yeah, whatever. So I was drilling her for information. I was asking her, what did this happen and whatever, and was people crying, what happened? So she was telling me everything. So that was kind of a very unexpected inspiration for this story. So that was cool. So it actually happened to my friend, and it didn't last too long. So hopefully, IKEA won't get angry for me mentioning it. The generators kicked in and stuff. So yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, that's adorable. I love it. And this next question is from one of our viewers. They just asked this, Danielle. Who has been your favorite character to write for so far and the most challenging? So who's been your favorite character to write and who's been the most challenging to write?
First of all, hi, Danielle. I might know who that is. Hi, Danielle. She might be one of my members of my Facebook group.
Yay, support.
Yay, Keeganites, Keeganites. Speaking of Keeganites, Mark Keegan was the first love interest I wrote he's in my first two books. He shows up in some others as well. I write they're standalones, but they're in the same universe. Mm-hmm. So characters can pop up from other books. He's pretty amazing. I mean, I was so swoony about Mark. When I stopped writing him and Alex, I was really depressed. I actually talked to my therapist about it because I felt so attached to them. And it felt like I was mourning when I stopped writing them. It really made me sad. But I have to say, I'm probably most in love with and very protective of Ben and Riley, who come from Until the Last Star Fades. I love them so much. And Riley, there's parts of me in all my characters, but I think there are certain aspects of myself and my experience that are very similar to Riley, including the type of depression that she has, which is called smiling depression, which is what I have. And Ben, I love Ben Fagan. Ben's my favorite name on the planet too. So I was like writing a character with my favorite name. I love the name Ben. And yeah, he's lovely. Most challenging, I would say, they're all challenging in different ways. I think when I'm writing about depression or anxiety, it's challenging because I want to make sure it's authentic. And having walked the walk myself, I'm really, really interested in making it real and empathetic and that kind of thing. So that's challenging. I don't find writing one sex more challenging than the other at all. It's just trying to make them all seem real. I'm really concerned about characters not seeing that they're authentic. And I think because I put a lot of work when I write, I do character work first, and it's really in depth. I have like questionnaires, and I get into their wounds and their flaws and the lies they believe about themselves and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's paid off because people seem to say that they feel like people they know. So.
Aww.
That's
That's nice. I'm sure that really is nice to hear.
It is, because I want them to be real. I want them to seem like somebody that you might know or might want to know or fall in love with.
Or be your friend.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all my imaginary friends. So I hope they're other people's friends too. They want to take them on. I'll share.
So this is a combination of two of the Facebook questions because they're both asking kind of what's next. And I usually ask at the bottom, but because they're asking, I'm going to ask now. So how do you choose the star of your books from the universe you've created? And who's next? And basically, yeah, what's next? Who's next?
Okay. It's funny because sometimes when I'm writing the stories, I'll have somebody in my head for like a long time. And then other times they're just new. Like Ben and Riley, I knew I wanted a character named Ben Fagan for a while. And I was just like, where can I put him in? So they kind of came out of nowhere. Although he's not mentioned by name, but he's in my very first book. There's somebody who's mentioned who's a friend of Mark's, and it's Ben. So, but it's kind of like no one would really know that probably except me. It's just like a weird thing.
Well, now the viewers know.
That's Ben. Go find him. Go in London Belongs to Me and find where Ben is. He's not mentioned by name, but he's sort of mentioned. He's mentioned in a scene about a play. Freddie mentions going to a play it's with a friend of Mark's or whatever. And anyway, it's Ben. So sorry to get off on tangents. Some of them, like I knew Tarquin would get his own book when I wrote London Can You Wait. I really felt that he kind of got shafted. I wanted to give him a second chance. And same with Leia, who appears in Until the Last Star Fades. So I kind of have a bank of people that like I could do them and I might not. What's coming up next? I'm writing 2 stories. I'm working on 2 kind of at the same time, which is new for me, and it might be a disaster. So I'm warning people, if there's no book next year, you know why. But I'm planning on having one come out in the fall, and then another one maybe soon after. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because I probably just jinxed myself. But so one of them I can definitely tell you who's in it, and some people already know because I blabbed in my group. Because I'm just like
so excited.
Yeah, I was really excited. So Nick Belfour, who is Tarquin's brother, is going to get a story, and also he's going to be with Evie, who is mentioned in my second book. She's mentioned in London Can You Wait near the end, just in passing. It's just like a name that's kind of thrown out there. At the time, I didn't think I would do anything with her. She was just a character that needed a name because somebody greeted her. So I needed a name. Normally, I don't like to name people if they're not really going to be integral to a story because it's too many names to remember. But it's kind of worked to my advantage now because she is going to be the love interest for Nick. And she's also mentioned in Say Hello, Kiss Goodbye, as is Nick. They actually show up in a scene, but they're in I'm giving too much away, so I won't say anymore. But basically, it's a story of Nick and Evie, and it's past present. They were very important to each other at one point when they were teenagers, and then they encounter each other again as adults. Aww. So that's the one. That's the one I've kind of been working on for a bit. And then a new idea came up that I thought I'm going to take advantage of it. And that one I'm not really saying much about because I want it to be a surprise. And I'm hoping it'll be a good surprise. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, everyone is excited. I'm going through the comments. Lots of yays. There's Chess, Jennifer. I think it's Delana. I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong.
I recognize
Jamie.
these names.
They're all your people.
They're my girls, my Keeganites. I love them. I love my group. I spend too much time in there probably. I should be writing. I'm always like, I gotta talk to them. So I love
No,
them.
I love it. I love that. I love it when authors are constantly interacting with their readers because we love authors.
Authors. I love authors too. I love readers. I love authors. I love books. It's all good.
We love it all.
I do. I do. I do.
So this is a question from Jennifer, and I have never had the nerve to ask this question, but now that someone actually asked it, I like telling myself I have to.
Okay.
So how much of your real life love story is in your books?
Good question. Very little. The only thing that comes close, anytime there's talk of long distance relationships, my husband's from Britain. I'm in Toronto. I keep threatening to write a story kind of based on us, on how we met, not like on how we are now or anything, but how we met, because we met in New York City.
Oh my gosh.
We both were we still are, a band called the Divine Comedy, which is a lovely fellow from Ireland, Neil. And I really wanted to see them. They weren't coming to Toronto, so I went to New York, and my husband flew over with a friend, and that's where I met him, at the concert, at a very small concert at a place called the Time Cafe.
I am looking this up.
The Time Cafe, I think it's gone. It's no longer there, but the Divine Comedy is a beautiful band. It's kind of one guy now. It's just Neil. Yeah, so not a lot. Like in terms of love stories, I've woven in long distance relationships. It's come up a couple times because we had one for about 2 years, and it was before I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a cell phone. So we literally would talk on the phone every day. He would call me from England and talk to me, and email me. I just started getting email at work. This was like in the late 90s. So it was before cell phones and before Zoom and Skype, all that fun stuff. We didn't have any of that. So it was old school. So yeah, when it comes to long distance relationships, that's personal, because I know what that's like, and I know how they can work and how they might not work.
Yeah.
But as for anything else, and sometimes in a book, if a character decides to move to be with the other person, yeah, I know what that's like. I've been through that. He moved for me. So,
oh,
yeah.
See, I did a little bit of long distance in college because my now husband, he was in the same state, but he went to a different college. So once a month he would drive up and stay for a few days. And that was when I got to see him. And it was always so exciting. I like cleaned the apartment before he got there, just like make sure everything was super nice. And those were hard days though.
They are hard days. And it's weird. Like, did you have a thing where when you saw them, it's almost like you had to get to know them again? Because they're away and you kind of forget certain things and you're like, oh yeah, you're kind of a stranger, but you're supposed to dive in right away. I had that sometimes because there would be big gaps before one of us would come here, or I'd fly back to see him. So sometimes there'd be moments where you're like, I love you, but I kind of forgot what you're like in a way. It's weird.
Yeah, we would talk on the phone a lot, and before we like went to our colleges, we had spent a little bit of time together over the summer, but whenever he would come visit, it was like I had to remember like what it was to like touch him or hug him. It was like I was always experiencing it for the first time because it had been so long in between, and I'm getting all teary-eyed thinking about it.
It's true though. They're really tough. They can be really wonderful, but there sort of comes a point where someone has to move, or else you're doomed.
Yeah, or just like graduate.
yeah, like we need to be together in the same place. It's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, but it's good now.
Yes, good for me too.
Worth it.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Okay, hopefully this question won't get us teary-eyed. So what is your writing process? Do you have a specific environment? Can you write anywhere? Do you have like snacks? I know you talked a little bit about chocolate.
Oh yes, chocolate. I write where I'm sitting right now, I'm at our table. We have like a round table. We have a condo. We live in a condominium. It's not too big. It's a 2 bedroom. The other bedroom is my husband's office. He's been working from home for a long time, like before we even lived here in our previous apartment. So he got dibs on the other room.
Oh.
So when I grow up, I want my own office because this is a mess. Like I'm not going to show you, but I have like toys and books and writing supplies and pictures of Charlie and, just stuff everywhere around here, like all my sort of writing guides, everything. So I write here, I write in like almost like a regular office, like office hours. I also help my husband with his business. But when I'm deep in a book, I'm like in the book. I kind of like, yeah, I'm not doing your stuff. So I write pretty much, try to be sat down no later than 11 o'clock. Because I do a lot of stuff with my dog in the morning. So we kind of have a real schedule. It's the same schedule I used to have with Zoe. So I do stuff with him, and then I write, have lunch, and then I write again in the afternoon. I don't like to go out anywhere to write because I get distracted. I'm really bad. Like any noise. They were drilling today. Someone was drilling something and it was just not good. Like I was stuck for ages. So I just work from home. I like to eat while I write, but it's usually bad stuff. It's like M&Ms and chocolate buttons. And today I had an apple. I was telling you that before. I had an apple. I was enough because I've gained like, not the COVID-19, but I've gained some, and it's got to stop. So today I thought I'll have an apple with Charlie. So I had an apple. I've been very, very well behaved today. But when I'm done this, I'll probably need some Christmas M&Ms. Yeah, so I'll snack. For some reason, I find grazing helps. I don't know.
I think this year just like doesn't count in terms of like what we ate, what we didn't do, or we didn't work out. I think we should just like, it was a year to just take a break from everything like that. So
that works for me, because otherwise you crucify yourself for every little decision. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. Like I'm saying to my husband, I don't have any vices. Like I've never smoked. I don't drink, drugs, never. Food is kind of like my only thing, like especially chocolate. So, if I'm trying to comfort
good
myself,
for you. That's what
yeah.
It's
but
good
do
you
eat dark chocolate? See, I like milk chocolate. So
I do eat dark chocolate, but there's always something else involved with it. Like it's not just like it's dark chocolate and like peanut butter cups. So it's like I have to have something. If it's super dark, I can only eat a little bit, and then it's like it's like I'm not even eating it. It's like I need to have more substance for my chocolate.
Yeah, I agree, because it's bitter. It's that bitterness. It's too I know bitter. The more bitter, the better it is for you, apparently. But I can't go there. I need milk chocolate. So, hey, it is what it is. I have chocolate every day. I did actually have Cadbury chocolate fingers at lunch.
Oh.
I did have some chocolate today. So there you go.
Chocolate. Chocolate's so good.
I know, right? I sent chocolate out with some of my books this year because there's a lot of Canadian. Leia she's Canadian, so there's Canadian treats. So I was sending chocolate out with some of the books. So that was fun to do.
That is so cute.
Spreading the wealth. Canadian candy. Canadian ketchup chips. That was the other thing. It was like my ketchup chip socks. Here, I was showing you. So.
Oh my gosh, it's adorable.
I like food. What can I say?
Food is good. Food's important.
It is.
See, when I start working, I forget about food. So I have to remind myself. All of a sudden I'll just be like, wow, I haven't eaten lunch yet. I'm really hungry. But it's like when I'm focused, just everything else.
You need to tell me how to do that, because I end up just thinking about the food. While I was writing Say Hello, I would be thinking of hickory sticks, which is another Canadian snack. And I kept thinking about them. And it didn't stop until I had them. Like I have to then stop and go and eat them.
I need to find a store that sells these because now I want to try all these Canadian snacks.
I'll send them to you.
Oh my gosh.
I'll send you a care package and then you can have them.
Canadian care package from
I
Jacquelyn
know.
Middleton.
There's some really good stuff that you can't get anywhere else. I wish I could send you like Timbits, but they're like our donut holes from Tim Hortons. I think like you've got Dunkin' Donuts. Are they called, what are they called? The little donut thingies, munchies or something?
I don't know. I
think,
actually don't go to Dunkin'
I think they might be
Donuts.
called munchkins. I think they might be munchkins. I don't know if that's right, but here they're called Timbits and they're addictive. So.
It's like, I'm such a bad American. I have to look this up. Yes, they're called munchkins.
Yeah.
You know more about this than I do.
Because it's like sweet, bad food. Whatever the country, I will find it. Actually, one of my readers, lovely Chess, sent me a box from Australia and there were Tim Tams and things. And I haven't opened it yet. I'm kind of saving it towards more to Christmas. But there's a whole bunch of Australian treats in there and I can't wait to have them.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I just love talking about food.
Me too. Me too. Don't talk about the books, talk about food.
Okay. Let me just see if I missed, because I thought there was a Facebook question. Yes. Okay. Chess. Back to like writing. Do you do much editing while you're writing your first draft, or do you just get it all out and then go back and edit?
Oh, I edit like crazy while I go. I have seen so many authors say you should never do that. I've seen a lot of people say you should just get the draft done and get it done. I tinker constantly. I'm constantly going back and like, oh, and I think that might be one of the reasons why sometimes it'll take me a bit longer because I'm constantly messing with stuff. But I found that you're never done messing with it. Like even when it's done, you're like, just let me go back and fix one little thing. So I edit a lot, but I find for me that works for me. For instance, right now, what I'm writing right now, I'm trying just to do the draft to get it done and then I'll tinker, but it's not going so good. I keep tinkering, but yeah, I edit as I go. It's different for every person. I think you just need to do, I know, you got to do what's good for you. And if that works for you, don't listen to the advice of other people. You've got to do what gets it done for you.
I like this question from, I really hope Delana. I hope I say that right. Part of me is just like, just don't even say their name, Jessica. Just ask the question, but then I feel bad. So has writing any of your books been therapeutic for you?
Yes, very much so. I think they all have been to varying degrees for different reasons. I think writing my first book when I was giving anxiety attacks to Alex was really therapeutic because at the time I've had anxiety all my life, but I never really told anybody other than like my husband and some people. And I certainly wasn't going to get any help for it. So when London Belongs to Me and started to write London, Can You Wait? I thought, you know what? I can't do this properly without being really honest with everyone around me. I mean, your loved ones usually know because I've had some very public examples. Like I had a fainting spell in a big department store with my mom and my sister. I had a really bad anxiety attack and I fainted during a makeover at the MAC counter. That was not fun. But most people don't know because I think you hide it, right? Like most people hide it because people judge you or make you feel like what's wrong with you? Everybody worries. It's not about that. So that was
like, just focus on something else.
I know, right? Like it's
gonna
insulting.
Help me.
Yeah, it's insulting. And it just makes you not want to tell them anything about it because they're going to just brush it off as like, what's wrong with you? Stop worrying. So that was very therapeutic. And it actually helped me make the decision to call up a therapist and start going. So by the time I wrote London, Can You Wait? And there's some therapy scenes with Alex, I was actually going to therapy. So I knew what it was like and some of the words and things. And I kind of walk the walk a little bit. And then with Until the Last Star Fades, that was very therapeutic too, because it's a very moving story about a daughter and her mother has cancer. And I went through that with my mom and my dad, actually. So there are some real life little snippets in there. And it actually felt good because writing about it just, you know, it just makes you feel a bit better about what you did and what happened. And you know, and if it can help other people too, kind of see themselves in a situation or help them through it and know that people understand and they're not alone, that's also really good. I like that too. I like being able to write things that help other people as well as myself. That's kind of the best thing. When someone writes and says, you know, I have anxiety and I felt seen, or, you know, I've got depression and I didn't know it was called smiling depression, the kind I have where you kind of hide it and you're always smiley and nobody knows anything's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, it's nice because I think we need to normalize discussions on those kind of topics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love in the back of your book, your little, where is it? The health resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really love that you included that.
I mean, it's unfortunate you can't include them for every country.
Yeah.
But even if it gives people a launching pad, even if they go to one of those, if they're not in those countries, and get an idea and then perhaps take it to their own, you know, to their own doctor, or they do their own searches. I just think it's normal. We need to talk about it. We talk about everything else, you know, broken legs and things. And well, if my brain is not, you know, if there's something not quite right, I need to talk to somebody, and it's okay. It's good. It's the best thing to go to therapy and talk to somebody and realize that, you know,
absolutely,
you're not alone.
Yeah, I think some people just they're so used to not talking about it and not acknowledging it that they don't even think about the fact that there could be resources to help them. So the fact that you just have anything, I hope that it gets some people thinking about what resources that are around them that they can use.
Yeah.
And if you have a library, we can help you find those resources.
That's just it. That's just it. They've got you know, tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff, tons of resources. Libraries are the best. They are. I love libraries.
Libraries love authors and readers. Pretty much it's like that's
Just
we really need
hunt.
those. We need authors and we need readers.
Yes, yes. We bring them all together in the library. Oh.
This is one of the Twitter questions. And I feel like you just answered this, though. I'm going to ask it anyways. So are you more inspired by the things that have gone right with your relationships, or the things that have gone wrong?
I always think kind of the dark stuff is the most inspiring. I know when I'm writing, that's where the meat is. Like, that's where the good stuff is. If somebody's been, you know, through a bad relationship, or they've had, you always call it the wound, like what wounded them to make them be the person they are when the story begins. And it can be a romantic thing, or it could be a family situation or a work thing. There's like tons of different things you could come up with that would make somebody behave a certain way. I think that's the most interesting, because that informs who they are more than the good stuff. Because good stuff happens, and what do you learn when good things happen? Like, you know, you got, you know, a good mark on your test, or you got a job promotion. It doesn't really teach you any kind of lesson. Like, lessons always come up when bad stuff happens. So the negative things, I think, are most inspiring and most meaty. I always look at too, like, if you take a TV show like Friends, you know, when Ross and Rachel were happy, that's when it was kind of boring for me. But when there's that pull and tug and, you know, push and pull before they were together, and will they and won't they and whatever, that was the most interesting for me, I think. And then they get their happy ever after, and it's like, yay, but then it's kind of, the story's over. So yeah, the dark stuff, the dark, dangerous stuff that informs who they are as a person and how they will overcome that, and perhaps realize that they're believing a lie that's not true about themselves. If that makes sense.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking through the questions just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I know there was one someone asked about Leia. Where is it? What real life celebrity would Leia most love to design for? And this is a question from Melanie. Oh man,
That's a question.
That's so scary.
Wow. Maybe somebody like Sienna Miller.
Ooh.
Because Sienna, I love Sienna Miller. I may be modeling a future character on her physically. I like to pick, not always, sometimes famous people to base my characters on physically. Maybe someone like Sienna Miller, because she's she's got that kind of boho reputation, and some of Leia's stuff could potentially be like that because it's very feminine, although both sexes wear her designs. And, they're for everyone. There's guys in dresses in my book, in her dresses. So I think someone like Sienna Miller, Harry Styles. After seeing the Vogue cover, I have the Vogue magazine back here. Harry Styles, yes, please. Love Harry Styles. He would look amazing in a Frill Seekers original, I think. So I would say Harry Styles, Sienna Miller, somebody like that would be really good. I'm trying to think of younger actresses too, and I'm blanking. I knew I would blank. I can't think. But yeah, Sienna Miller, Harry Styles. There's two.
And I know someone asked if you've ridden a Vespa. I'm trying to find it.
Vespas. I
Yes,
haven't.
Jamie.
I haven't. And you know what? I wish I could. There's actually, because in Mark Keegan, who was the first love interest in my books, he rides a red Vespa. He's an Irish actor and he has a red Vespa. I love red Vespas. I have red Vespa stuff all over the place. I only found out about a year ago. I don't know why. We were in our parking garage, which is below our building, and we were sort of walking around. I don't know what we were looking for. And I turned a corner and there's a red Vespa. And I'm like, who has the red Vespa in my building? And I went and talked to one of the security guys and I was like, is that? Like, no, it's been there for like years. It's been there ever since I started writing these books. And there's been like red Vespa power in my building. And I didn't know. It's downstairs.
I love that.
But yeah, red Vespas, I've never been on one. My husband always says if we made like tons and tons and tons of money and got like a big house or something or a big apartment, he'd buy me one just so I could have it like sitting beside me.
I have this like fantasy in my mind of one day being like the librarian in this little small town where I can just ride a little moped or Vespa and I won't even need a car. And I would be like the librarian Vespa.
I know, right? Like that would be just the most amazing thing. I love Vespas. They are amazing. They show up. I have a thing too where they kind of show up at weird times in my life too, which is weird. I kind of take them as a sign of certain things. So I love them. I hope you get your Vespa and then I will get my Vespa.
One day. I'll tell my husband. Jacquelyn said.
Yes.
One day.
You must buy her a Vespa.
One day.
I hope you get one, Jess.
Thank you. It's so funny you said that they're like, good luck. I love corgis. One day I'll get one. But if I'm ever out and I see a corgi, it's basically like a 4-leaf clover for me.
Yes.
Like that means that good luck for the rest of the day.
I love that. See, I am so like that with my Vespas and specifically red. So when I hear other people have little, like a corgi or something like that, that's just, I love that. That's awesome. I feel understood. I understand you. You understand me. That's awesome. Everybody should have something like that. I think if you're open to that kind of energy, you'll get a lot of that stuff happening.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
You know? I
totally get that. So, what has been getting you through just the quarantine, lockdown, COVID year? Like have there been any books, that have really had an impact? Any shows? I guess any snacks?
So many snacks. So many snacks. Yeah, there have been. My reading years have been kind of iffy, but it was iffy even before this happened, because when Zoe died last October, I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't do anything. So it's been a while trying to get back into reading. And it's been really weird because books that would normally probably be my favorites, I'm just like, I can't deal with this, and I just toss it aside. I will go back to them at another point, I hope, because they are really good books. The books that I sort of gobbled up, Helena Hunting, her All In series. There's the 3 hockey books, Lie for a Lie, Secret for a Secret. I can't remember the other one. I just ate those up. They were just, I loved them. They were awesome. I read them back to back. They sort of just, I loved them. They were really great. And they kind of got me back into reading again. They got my mojo going. TV wise, I rewatched all of New Girl from the beginning because it's just silly, and I love Schmidt, and it's so inappropriate at times, but I love it. Up in your lounge. my husband and I, sometimes when we would travel, when we fly to London, sometimes we'll fly business class if we can. So if you get in the lounge, we always like, up in the lounge. We do the Schmidt thing. So I've watched New Girl, stuff like The Crown, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
The Queen's Gambit. Ooh, I love that. So sort of more feel-goody stuff, and stuff that's cozy, like we're so used to The Crown. It's like Downton Abbey, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's this British series called Cold Feet, which was around over 10 years ago. It was around 2002 and stuff, but they rebooted it with the old cast and their children and stuff, and it's from England, and I was watching that. We were watching that.
I'll have to look this up.
Yeah, we kind of pulled it off British iTunes. I paid for it. I always pay for stuff. I don't stream. I buy everything. I buy my music. And music wise, Plug for Stars, great Canadian band. I love them. They influenced me so much, and they are wonderful, and I love them. Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, my favorite Saint Etienne, which is a British band who have a song called London Belongs to Me. Yeah, so sort of old favorites, stuff like that. My reading has been bad though. It's been really bad. I'm actually reading Little Lies right now, which is another Helena Hunting story. It's very angsty though, and I love my angst in my romance. It's very angsty, but it's good. I really like it. And she's lovely. I talk to her sometimes about hockey and stuff. So it's a really good book. I recommend it.
I'm not a sports person, but when I started getting into, because I told you before we went live, I started out really historical romance. Once I started getting into the contemporary, I was amazed at how much like sports romance books there were, like football and so much hockey. I'm like, oh my God, where's all this hockey coming from? Like, I guess I need to watch hockey.
I was surprised there was so much hockey. Like I was flabbergasted that hockey is so huge, because as a Canadian, you always think it's a Canadian thing and not really Americans are into it, but there's so many hockey books. The one thing I don't like about the hockey books, because I am a huge hockey fan, I have season tickets for the Maple Leafs. I am second last row from the top, but I am there. But I'm like a huge hockey fan. I used to run the Maple Leafs fan club in the mid 90s. So when there's anything that's wrong about like a term that's wrong, it bothers me. It really bugs me, because I'm like, how could you get that wrong? Do your research. So that kind of bugs me a bit. But Helena's books are awesome. So don't really have that problem with hers. So
well, I was going to ask, what would you recommend? And obviously now we know.
Yeah, like for hockey, I must admit I haven't read too widely. I've read some of it's turned me off when I've seen things that are wrong. But I always go back to her, like all her Pucked series and stuff. They're great. They're very saucy and fun, and yeah, I think she's a really great author. More
I
hockey
love
books.
that.
Maybe one day I'll write one. I mean, I've got hockey players in some of my
Ooh.
books. Two of
Almost
them.
there.
There's hockey players too. So maybe I'll have a hockey romance too. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe one day.
To get out of London. I'm in London all the time. So
Oh, someone asked a question about that. I'm going to say Marion. I hope I said that right. Do you think about changing the location of one of your books, or are you still going with the London and New York?
Well, that's a really good question. Everyone knows I love London and it's my favorite place anywhere. The one of the books my storyline with Nick and Evie is not in London. I'm taking you back to the Orkney Islands, which is very beautiful and rugged and gorgeous. And it's, as of right now, I mean, I haven't written it, but as of right now, it's in Orkney and there's no scenes in London. I love London though, and I like writing. I know it very well. It's an escape for me. I like reading about it. So yeah, I write a lot of London. There'll be more London. You'll be seeing more London. So I hope that's okay. But you might see a bit less of New York. I'm kind of going over there, going over the British Isles a bit more. So yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, you say that now, but when I actually write it, sometimes you're like, no, 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 this is something I'll fall in there and change. So we'll see.
Any chances of a future book being set in Canada? That is a Facebook question.
That's a good question. I touched a bit on Canada in the most recent one because Leia's from there. And there's references to Oshawa, which is close to where I grew up. The schwa. Maybe. The thing is, and I don't mean to sound awful, because I'm a very proud Canadian and I love my country. But when it comes to writing places, I like writing places that make me excited. That I'm excited and I feel I'm there and I'm intrigued by like the stupidest things. Like when I go to London, I still am like phone boxes and taxis and the way they say things. And I mean, I live with a Brit, so it's kind of funny, but I go there and I still am like when I first visited in 1993, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in love with everything. And I probably have rose-colored glasses a lot of the time because I've had some London people go, yeah, try living here. And and it's crowded and can be dirty and hard to meet people and that kind of thing. Canada, I'm sorry, just doesn't excite me because the setting for me is a character too, and I'm never saying never, and it may very well happen, but it doesn't excite me as much as writing about London or Orkney or Scotland, other parts of Scotland or New York. So maybe, but I don't really have plans at the moment. Like I have the two books I'm kind of bouncing back and forth with now, and then there's another one. It's none of them are Canada. Sorry. Does that mean I'm no longer a good Canadian? But I have ketchup flavored socks or theme, whatever. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Not right now. Maybe in future. Maybe.
So I have one more question before we'll get to the two closing questions. So what is the number one piece of advice you'd give to aspiring authors?
Okay. Everyone always says write, which is true. I always add to that, don't procrastinate, because I was a big procrastinator for a very long time. I wanted to write books like since I was a kid. I think you just have to make the time, even if you don't have a lot of time, even if it's like 10 minutes here and there, just go with it. Try to write some stuff, because eventually you might have a whole book if you keep doing that. I would also say, if you want to be a writer and you want to be published, and also I should say, I think you are a writer, whether you've been published or not. As long as you're actually sitting down and writing something, you're a writer. Publishing does not make you an author or a writer. You are one already. Not an aspiring, you are. I would also say, figure out what publishing path you want to take. There are so many nowadays. You don't have to just go traditional. You can be self-published. You can be a hybrid published author. But weigh the pros and cons. There's pros and cons for each of those things. So do a bit of research. Talk to people if you know authors. Ask them. People can always ask me. I will answer your questions. I'm not an expert by any means. I am learning as I go. I am so, some things work, some things don't. I just know for myself, I did query my first book for like 3 weeks. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do this, because I realized I'm a bit of a control freak. And I like picking titles. I like picking when the book comes out. I like doing the covers, everything I want to have a hand in. And if you're trad published, you don't always get to do those things. Usually you don't. So I think if you want to write and be published, sort of, figure out which path you want to go. And you can try all of them, because a lot of authors, some big name authors, are traditionally published and self-published at the same time. So, Colleen Hoover's like that, and Helena Hunting's like that. She self-published Little Lies. So, I think kind of figure out what path you want. And if you do like having control, there's nothing wrong with that, and you should embrace it and perhaps become a self-published author. But if you want to see your books in all the bookstores, maybe trad's the best way to go. But also realize traditional published authors, not everyone gets the push to be in the front of the store and have all the marketing. It doesn't come to every author. It only comes to certain authors. And that was something that I was like, oh, when I found that out. I had a traditionally published friend tell me that, who was published by Penguin, and she said, yeah, I'm published by Penguin, but I had to do all my marketing and PR myself. So you just have to weigh things, ask lots of questions, and research. But yeah, write and read lots of books. Go to your library, take out lots of books. Read all the different genres.
And now for our closing questions. So this is a question that I always ask at the end, and it's my favorite. So what is your favorite library memory?
I would say when I was little, we would go to the library, and I was a big hockey fan, as you know. I would always take out hockey books. They always had books by my favorite hockey players. So I was always excited to go there and get books that were written about my favorite hockey heroes. But I think one of the most important things for me was when I was in public school, we had a thing called library helpers. And my mom had to go to work really early, and she would drop us off at school, and it would be cold and dark, and we were allowed to go into the library and be library helpers. And we got to shelve books and, got familiar with how everything worked in the library. And that was one of my best memories, because it was warm, it was cozy, I was surrounded by my favorite things, which were books. And it was just neat to be with your friends in a way. That was kind of my favorite library moment, was to be surrounded by books all the time. And no one would question why I was, looking at them, or, going through the card catalog, trying to find things. It was just a really great place to be. It felt very welcoming and comforting for me. Books are your friends. It's good to be with your friends.
I love that, library helpers. That's so cute.
Yeah,
I don't think we had that when I was in school. I love that idea.
Like they had it, and you would get little felt when they gave awards at the end of the year, those little felt, little badgy things. It was library helpers. I have a bunch of them. Yeah. And it was just really, really neat to do. It was nice, because instead of leaving the kid outside in the cold, let them come in and help in the library. Yeah. So that was my best memory, I think.
Oh, that is so sweet. And I love that. I just love hearing all the different memories. It's so nice.
Well, and my new memory is seeing my book with the barcode from your library. So I love that. That's awesome. Wait. See, it's got a barcode, and it's in your library.
It's stamped.
See, that's just the nicest thing.
It has the little RFID.
Don't go stealing library books. Bring them back. Let someone else read them. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I should. What I'm going to do is, it's unavailable right now. I'm going to check it in after this so people can check it out. But I'm going to take a photo of it in the new area for you before it gets checked out.
Thank you.
Just
And
so
I
you
will
can
be
see
posting
it.
that.
I love
Coming to an
it.
Instagram account near you.
Yes, check it out. And well, we already talked about what's next for you, but is there anything else you want to share about what's next for you?
So killing myself with these cords.
I know they're flopping, mine too.
I know. I'm. That's why I couldn't have my dog here because he'd get all tangled in them. Yeah, I'm just trying to write my two books with a third sort of in the wind, in the wings there. Yeah, so I'm hoping to have there'll be a book out next year and another one to follow. So I'm trying to write as fast as I can. I'm kind of a slow writer, so I just appreciate everyone who stuck around and waited for me to publish Say Hello, Kiss Goodbye. Because when Zoe passed away, it kind of impacted me hugely in a really horrible way. And it took a while for me to get back into the groove. So I just want to thank everyone who has read my books or is thinking of reading my books and, follows me on social media for hanging around and sticking with me, because it means the world to me. And I write for you guys as well as myself. And to know that they were there waiting for me and were so kind and so lovely through everything, that's just the most awesome thing in the world. So I just want to thank them because they're the best readers in the world. I love them. Keeganites. Keeganites United. It's my group. It's my little Keeganites United card.
Oh, there's a Vespa.
It's got a Vespa on it. See, it's got a Vespa. Yeah.
Well, you are getting lots of love in the Facebook comments that your books are always worth it. Lots of hearts. You are loved.
Thank you, guys. I love you. Ketchup chips for everyone. I wish I could send them to everyone.
It'd be like a subscription service.
I know, right? I could have like a box of Canadian treats that gets shipped out. So you never know. I would subscribe
to that.
I know. Well, hey, you send me your address, I will send you a box of Canadian treats. I promise.
And I will post photos.
Yes. And you have to say, I don't like these ones. These ones are great. So yeah, no, definitely. I will definitely do that, Jess.
You are so sweet.
I just want more people to eat. You got to eat while you work. Come on. I got to break you of that habit of not eating.
I know. I've thought about setting like a little alarm on my Fitbit to remind me, because drinking water too. You'd think you'd remember to drink water, but
it doesn't happen.
It's difficult sometimes.
It is.
My husband gets mad at me. It's like, you haven't eaten yet? Like, I haven't eaten yet.
Eat. Well, I definitely have to send you snacks and you have to eat them.
I will eat them. I will post photos as proof.
Please do. Please do. Food photos are my favorite thing. Everyone knows.
Only people who watch this will understand when they see the photos.
I know. Like, why is she posting Mr. Big chocolate bars?
That'll be good though. We'll be like, learn more, watch the video, and read the book.
I know.
See?
This book.
This book. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. And we went a little bit over and I feel a little bit bad. But I had so much fun talking with you, I didn't want to stop.
Thank you for inviting me. I got to wear my London dress and everything. I know you can't really see it, but it's got London phone booths and stuff on it.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, I have a couple London dresses, so broke out the special dress.
You are. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to our viewers for asking questions, for watching, for sharing all the love to Jacquelyn. And you can purchase Jacquelyn's books from the Ripped Bodice Bookstore. And you can also check them out from the library.
Yes.
And just so people know, you don't have to live anywhere near us to sign up for an online services library card. If you want a library card to access like all of our e-books, e-resources, just go to our website and you can sign up and then you can access everything. So we can have library people from all over.
That's cool.
Well, a lot of people don't have libraries near them. So
that's true.
Now you can have a library near you, kind of through us.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for asking me to come here.
Well, you're the one that responded to my tweet. And I'm like, yes.
I was like,
I can't say no to that.
Well, you could, but you didn't.
No.
So. Thank you. I appreciate that. And all the questions.
And yes. And okay, people love your dress.
I have to figure out where it came from. I don't even know. I bought it online. I'll have to figure out where it came from.
Well, I just love that you're just like all themed. It's fantastic. I love it.
I know, it's terrible.
And
Everything is.
not terrible. I love themes. I absolutely love themes. Okay, before I forget, if you're interested in more programs like this, check out our Facebook events for more fun, free digital programs. I have another chat tomorrow. Same place on Facebook Live with Denise Williams for her book, How to Fail at Flirting. I'm very excited about that. And I always forget to say this, so I'm not going to forget this one because I already posted it and I just commented on it. There is a 3-question survey, very, very short, just to let me know if you enjoyed the chat, if the platform was good, if you liked everything. So just fill that out, please, so that I know if I have to change anything. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jacquelyn. And let me make sure that I do this right this time and don't just end everything at once. Okay. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.